I was wondering if that's where you're going with this too. I was like, I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So what is your,
Legacy.
it's kind of like that awkward cousin of regret that sits there and they don't know they're cousins and they meet at the Southern Ball and they go, I like you. Do you like me? I like you too. Do you like me?
Yeah.
And then they get together and like, oh, wait, you're cousins. Oh.
Never mind. We're going to cut this off.
And most people don't realize that they're kind of related that way, cousins, because regret is looking at the past while our legacy is looking at our future.
The future.
We're always so concerned about, at least a lot of us, I don't know, maybe you're not, but a lot of us are so concerned about looking at the past and what the things we have or haven't done that we sometimes forget to look towards the future on the things that we should be doing and laying the groundwork now for that.
Yeah.
In a year, what will I regret taking the time to learn this new profession, learn this new skill, commit to this eating routine, commit to this, or will I regret it in a year? Or will I look back from a year from now and be like,
what the heck was I doing?
Yeah. But then legacy is also thinking a lot larger than that too. If you think about it.
Thanks, Josh.
So I look at it this way. I've been working with the youth group for, geez Louise, I can't even think how many years now it's been. It's been a number of years. Wow.
It's been a couple.
Yeah. It's been a few years. But how old are you now? 25?
Yeah.
So probably at least 12. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So around 12 years, I've been working with this group, right? My legacy is probably not going to be for me. And I'm saying for me. I'm not saying for you. Your legacy is probably like Josh, 8 kids.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
But my legacy is at this point, because, again, I'm like, I'm almost 40, I'm probably not going to have kids. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I've learned to accept that in my life.
You've had me and Josh.
Yeah, that's why I'm not having kids. But I look at it this way. My legacy is not just what I've done through my life, because my life is I do automation for work. Yay. That's not going to leave a legacy for anyone. No one's going to be like in 20, 30, 40 years, be like, who wrote this amazing code for automation? Oh, it was this Paul person. Oh, hail the Paul. No. 20, 30, 40 years from now, people are going, who wrote the heck? Who wrote what the?
They could have done this. They would have done so much better.
And then they'll be like, and one line of code, enter. Oh, that works better. And then my legacy is not going to necessarily be that, right. a product per se, unless I decide to write books or something like that. Then my legacy would be leaving books or something like that. That would be a legacy. But my legacy is the people I impacted during my life or will continue to impact, and then the impact those people potentially will have. So, like it or not, and this gets a little weird, okay?
Yay.
You and Josh are my legacy.
Right.
So, what you two do to impact the world is part of my legacy.
I'm so sorry, Paul. I'm not doing a good job.
Don't waste it. It's not like I'm trying to be like pressure on you or anything. No. But I look at it that way. I look at all the other youth group kids who have come up through youth group. I look at like Peter and that.
Yeah.
They're part of that.
Right.
Obviously, all of you have had other people feed into you all.
Uh-huh.
I'm not the only one, but still, everyone's like, yeah, this is part of the legacy that all feeds into. Because unless I write a book and leave that around, guess what?
It's going to be through people.
It's going to be through people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be those things that are long-reaching that I have to think about. And some of those things, they're going to happen whether I'm thinking about them or not. So there's some things I can do to plan to leave a legacy, but other things are just going to happen. Like any stupid memories or my inability to speak, and you'll be like, oh, remember that memory, da, 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 da.
That one time.
The 5 billion times he cannot say the word.
Oh, gosh.
So, those are things that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I was of this mindset when I was your age. Do you ever, Mr. Johnson, do you ever think about the legacy that you're leaving?
No. The only thing that oh man, the other thing I think I've really thought about. Gosh, now I feel like that's just selfish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, granted, especially more so in like when I'm in a depressed state of mind. And like I think like I feel like, okay, well, and I die or whatever. I was like, I wonder what people are gonna think of me, or
Yeah,
what people are gonna say,
and then that's
kind
part
of thing.
That's kind of the legacy. What are people going to think of you when you're gone?
And it's like, well, and I guess like the thing I think about is like, okay, I was like, yeah, I might be missed, whatever. But I was like, that only lasts for so long. People will get over it. It'll be okay. Then I'll be forgotten, and people will move on. But because it's I'm never. It was funny because at work, because when I just had my surgery, I had to get tested for COVID or whatever the Friday before.
Right.
But while I was at work, I was thinking, I was like, why do I have to get tested for the virus before, like, to go in for surgery? I was like, are they concerned about like the surgeons getting it while operating on me? Because I'd imagine they'd be all geared up really well and they're going to be clean, whatever, and taking care of themselves the best they can to, to not have anything like that happen. But then my boss is like, he's like, well, like if you had it and you were sick with it, who knows what the anesthesia would do to you while being sick with that, and there could be all these other complications it could cause during surgery or afterwards.
Yeah, or during your recovery, how would that impact? Because if a lot of the COVID stuff is with breathing, so if you're having trouble breathing and you're like trying to like come out of it, and you're like.
I'm done. So we talked about that. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about how it would affect me afterwards. I was like, well, if I die, I die. And everyone in the room were like, what? Like, how could you say this? Like, it's not like we wouldn't miss you at all. I was like, I mean, I didn't mean it like I want to. I was like, I'm sorry.
It's not like you're just saying, please, you're taking up to your wrist. I commit myself to the soil, and I now am done. And you're going, not.
Yeah, right.
There's your dad, too.
He what a great time to come into the conversation. But, no, so it's just like, I was thinking of that. I was like, oh, man. I was like, oh, my coworkers would miss me. Oh. But
and see, people don't normally think about that, the legacy they leave with their coworkers.
Yeah, well, yeah, just even that, and like, cause I don't know, like as I was getting to, I was like, I'm not someone that's good with taking, I guess in a sense you could say like a compliment of a sort like that, or like people would be like, oh wait, like they don't want you to be gone, kind of thing. It's like you'll be okay without me, it's fine. But then they're like, but no, I don't want them. Like, it'll be okay. But that's like, for me, taking like comments like that, it's just like, okay, now I sound like I just want to leave, but I don't. But it's just like, oh, this is awkward now. So I don't know. Yeah, but I guess that's as far as I've ever really gotten. And it's like, yeah, and I think about like even hanging out with the childs of my sibling.
Really?
Yeah,
your nieces and nephews. I'm not gonna let you use
niece and nephews.
I'm not okay, Mr. Pelosi.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't hear that.
I was trying to see if I could get your dad's attention with that.
But no, yeah. I think about that. It's like, man, I was like, I guess. One, what are they learning from me right now and my interactions with them? And like, now that I think about it, it's like, what do I want them to learn from me? I guess, like, if I were to kick the bucket and be gone, like, what would I have hoped that they'd have learned by spending time with me? So, yeah, and I think about that from time to time. Am I doing a good job of it? No, not really. I know one thing my oldest nephew, Caleb, has learned is that I'm a terrible person to go grocery shopping with.
Uh-oh. I feel there's a story behind that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was New Year's Day, and we were getting together to celebrate Christmas because my sister and her family were quarantined due to an interaction from the
With the COVID individual, yeah.
yeah, and so for Christmas, my sister and her husband had got me a four. Like a like glass like whiskey set,
Okay.
or a four whiskey glass set, whatever. And I was okay. So I did I already that I've like locked up all my alcohol. I've dumped a lot of it out.
I don't know if you said that or not.
I don't know if I've told you that or not yet, but it's all right behind me in this chest locked up. But and then I like dumped out like probably 6 or 9 bottles, some of them mostly full, which wow, including one like 175 of Captain Morgan, just all gone.
You just dumped it.
I dumped it. I was done. That was it.
No, you did not tell me this.
Okay, well, I did that.
Is this in all relation to like this past month of stuff, or?
Yeah, pretty much. It was because it was becoming a thought, like a temptation of just drinking an excessive amount just to dull myself.
I fully understand that.
Yeah.
And just as a side tangent, and we're going to get back to why you're a bad influence on shopping.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want to point it out on this. I fully get what you're talking about because I know when I was going through my depression, where I started drinking before I went to inpatient, where I started drinking a lot more than normal, where even Larissa goes, "What's the matter? Something's wrong."
when the bartender notices.
When the bartender goes, "What's going on?"
Yeah, then you really know.
Because I think it was like on a Wednesday or whatever, and I was like, shot, drink, like in a row. And she's like, "What?
This is different."
She's like, "What's going on? Something's wrong."
Right.
And so I get that. The wanting to dull that pain out a little bit with that, with the drinking. So I'm not saying what that feeling is abnormal, and I want to call out that takes a lot of effort and that takes a lot of dedication to be able to follow through with taking the bottle
just literally
and pouring it out.
Bop.
Not just locking it up, just saying pour.
That's it. Yeah. Done.
So I want to call that out especially and say, no, you did not share that with me. And
okay, there you go.
This sounds weird because I'm not your father, but I'm proud of you. So good job.
Oh, yeah. No, it felt good. Because I think, like, another thing about it is, it's, oh my gosh, along with, thankfully, it's not as bad as music equipment. If I spent this much money on booze as I have on music equipment, then, I really have a problem. But it's just, one, granted, like, I get a lot of stuff. Once, because, granted, yeah, I'm interested to, like, compare different, I guess mainly I'm more of a whiskey person, but like just different alcohols with each other to see which one I like more, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. But it's like it's such a waste of money to a point too, where it's like, man, I've spent way too much money on this. So I guess in the effort of pouring it out, I was just like, it was just like a physical acknowledgement of saying like you just literally wasted money on this. So stop, kind of thing. So
well, look at it this way. Because you, regardless of what you want to or not, you're going to leave a legacy with your nephews and nieces.
Mm-hmm.
So they can either know you as fun Uncle Aaron, or they can know you as drunk Uncle Aaron.
Oh yeah, I'd rather have fun Uncle Aaron.
Yeah, say which.
But you can be a fun drunk, but.
Yeah, but
yeah, no.
A lot of my family has left their legacy with me where most of the stories I know about them, because if you think about it this way, legacy is like that story that you know about that person, right?
Yeah.
How did they impact you?
Mm-hmm.
Most of their impact, to be honest, a lot of my family is drunk uncle or drunk aunt or drunk cousin or drunk whatever.
Right.
And I look back and like, yeah, at the time I might have been rolling on the ground laughing because they were such idiots, but at the same time, I look back and I'm like, no, that's
Right.
so. Kudos and props to you,
Right.
sir.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I just hope, I don't know. Great. I mean, obviously, I'd hope to not have to be in that situation again, kind of thing. But
Yeah, but we all say that,
and then it comes back a little later, you know.
and I'll say this, like maybe 4 months from now, you're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling
Right.
the effects of sad anymore. I'm just gonna get this because we're on a special trip or whatever, blah blah. And then next December, I'm sad. Poor. So you
Repeat
never
the
know.
cycle.
You
Yeah.
never know. But
yeah, so like so because of that, I didn't have any whiskey for the whiskey glasses that my sister and husband got me. So I was like, well, I got to go out and get a bottle of whiskey so I can, use my glasses. And so I was gonna go to the grocery store and get some. And so my oldest nephew Caleb wanted to come with me, and I was like, well, okay. Because then my sister was like, hey, pick up some other stuff, whatever, some other things that she'd want. And I was like, okay, but I was like, it's like you probably either. I was like, you'll have to stay in the car while I go into like a liquor store, or I don't know, like figure out a way where, because generally I feel like places don't allow you to get liquor with someone that's underage. That is, I thought in this case, like I would have had to have been his dad in order to get alcohol with him, kind of thing.
yeah,
And so, but so my sister wanted me to pick up some Kringles, so we went to both O&H's, and of course they were closed on New Year's Day, which whatever, it's fine.
yeah.
So we went to Festival. And this is where Caleb learns that I'm not a good person to go shopping with, especially grocery shopping. But we literally went to go in to get a Kringle, a bottle of whiskey, and my sister wanted some juice or whatever. So we go in there. I'm like, okay, we get the juice. We look, and then I see like this like a cranberry, like was it cranberry, like a mix. And I was like, oh, that would be good. So I'm going to get that too. So I grabbed that. And then we go to look at the Kringles. And then there's like 3 main, like different flavors or whatever. And so I was like, this is the closest to what my sister would have wanted. So we got that. I was like, but the other 2 Kringles sound really good too. Picked up both of the other Kringles. Put that in the cart. And then we're like, oh, it's Christmas time. We got to get some eggnog. We don't have any eggnog. So we started looking for eggnog. Didn't have any. Sad day. But then thankfully Festival's cool about this, but because I went to the lady, I was like, hey, this is my nephew. Can I buy liquor with him around, or is that something you guys don't allow? And she's like, no, we're cool. We're not like Walmart. We don't like card, all the people that are involved or whatever. And he's family. So I was like, okay. She's like, as long as I don't see you hand him the bottle outside of the, like, once you leave, you'll be okay. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I got a little glass of whiskey. And then I was like, all right, Quick Trip always has either eggnog before Christmas and after Christmas for a while. So we went to Quick Trip and we're going to get some eggnog. Of course they didn't have it, but as soon as we walk in, Caleb's like, dude, their donuts are super good. I was like, yeah, they are. Get some. So he kind of learned that, like, if something looks good and you want to buy it, just grab it and we'll get it.
So you have left a legacy of emptying wallets of your for your poor sister.
Yes.
And your nephew's future wallet in the future.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's just like, oh, that looks good. Grab it. All right, we're getting it, kind of thing. Yeah, so that is not good. And then, I mean, gosh, man, even when like we went shopping for his birthday, and then we went to a mall, and he's like, yeah, he was telling me some like the things he wanted. It was like some shoes and like a jersey and just like clothes and stuff like that. I was like, oh. And I was like, all right. So we looked around and like he picked out like a hat or something and like a hoodie or whatever. But then it was, he wanted this jersey. I was like, oh, well, okay. So then I was thinking how expensive jerseys were.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
So he ended up talking about the jersey. And I was sitting there thinking about. I was like, man. I was like, yes. I was like, I could do it. I was like, should I? I was like, I don't know. I was like, it's his birthday. Whatever. I was like, fine. All right, we'll get it. And then yeah, so like $100 later, I was like,
Yep.
So, and then on top of that, we went to Cheesecake Factory for dinner. And then, so yeah, we're getting some cheesecake and stuff like that. And that was just it. Caleb has learned that I'm a pushover. Yeah. Like we haven't
Oh,
heard
really?
that
You're a pushover.
Haven't heard that one before.
So that's another thing you can leave as a legacy. You're a pushover.
I'm a pushover. If there's something you want, just go to Uncle Aaron. And it's bad because one of the gifts that they had gotten me for Christmas was they got me a few shirts, and one of the shirts is Funkle. And I was like, oh no.
You're the fun uncle.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh.
Well, that's a good legacy, though, to leave with your nieces and nephews.
Yeah, but then, yeah, there's also, I've hopefully, knock on all this, I don't know if this is actually what is something. Hopefully I'm around to teach them more and better things.
Instead of, here, this is how you empty a bank account.
Yeah, if you can afford it, then just buy it. Like in the time, just if you have enough money to cover it, do it. Whatever, it's fine. Yeah, no, don't do that. That's horrible.
Every
advice.
time you talk like this, I'm like, oh my goodness, Erin is a rich white girl.
Oh my gosh, let's just go have a shopping spree.
Getting my Starbucks in the morning before work, and
I'm just like,
yes.
Every time I'm like, oh boy, he's just going out and having his little shopping sprees.
Yeah, buddy.
I need shopping therapy.
I need that'll make me feel better inside.
That is the legacy you're leaving to your nephews and
Yeah,
nieces.
this is terrible. This is a terrible
But
start.
to be fair, and I say this in all seriousness, teenagers nowadays, like, honestly, they're like, they have that shopaholic gene to begin with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, shoes. They have to have the craziest shoes, and then they wear them like one time, and then they comb them, and they shave them.
Yes.
And they use little Q-tips to get in between each little crack, keep them clean, and
oh yeah.
But this craziest thing I've ever seen is someone shaving their shoes.
Yeah, I have not seen that.
I have.
Shaving your shoe, like what?
He was shaving all the little like lint balls off with a little electric razor or something like that.
Oh boy.
You know this person too.
Oh no, yeah, I do know. Oh. Buddy, I love you. I'm sorry, but wow.
Like he was in there. I couldn't remember if it was electric razor or a non-electric razor, but he was like
Yeah.
shaving his shoes and combing them, and yeah, it was just. I had a laugh. His parents had a laugh.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
was just like, oh, this is just hilarious on so many levels.
See, I wish I was that, I cared that much about my guitars and stuff to keep them that clean. Man. Because at least, well, no, your shoes probably take more abuse than a guitar would. No, it depends.
I don't know. I think this guy, if he dropped like a drop of water on his shoes, he would scream like a little girl and run to dry him off.
His little...
Yeah. I love you, man, but
We do.
your shoes sometimes are just way. Yes.
It's crazy how much people will spend for shoes.
Well, think about it this way. People will spend shoes, jerseys, socks, things that ultimately, in the end, don't matter.
Right.
They don't contribute to your legacy.
No.
Unless you want to be known as the hoarder of shoes as your legacy.
Yeah.
But instead, like, I choose to spend money in things that will enable and keep a legacy around.
Barbacoa.
Exactly. I spent a lot of money on you and Mr. Brewer for various things.
Yes, you have.
And you know what? I have never gone back and tried to add it all up because A, that'd be depressing to see how much I actually spent on both of you.
Don't tell me about that. Yeah, please.
But B, I also look at it as that's how I leave my legacy. And, a lot of times people are so concerned about how do I leave a legacy? When the normal interactions they have with people that will remember them years from now are how you leave that legacy. What are you doing now that your nieces and nephews are going to remember you by? What are they going to tell their children about their crazy Uncle Aaron? What story will live on in infamy? What story about Funkel will go on forever that will live forever and just be like that family legend, that is used somehow and turns into like a hit #1, movie.
I bought them in a Millennium Falcon Lego set.
What?
Oh gosh.
But the thing is, like, when you're doing those things, when you're building that Millennium Falcon Lego set, when you're building it with them, the conversations you're having with them,
right?
The
things
personality and the qualities of a good person that you're showing them while you're doing that. What happens when, what happens when you drive a nail through your finger? Are you cursing up a storm? Or are you like and trying to show restraint while at the same time being in pain and learning how, what are they seeing in you?
Right.
What are those things that you learn? Like, oh, hey, when you get angry and you need to scold someone, you just yell at them straight in their face, or do you pull back and say, hey, we need to have a conversation about this? Again, I'm thinking about such things like Madison and Idiot Day. How did those things? How did one of us approach the other on those things? And how did that turn out?
Right.
That's all part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think of the legacy as, oh, I'm leaving them an inheritance, that's a legacy that might last them for a little while. But like my mom, she's like, I'm trying to live like I'm not going to leave anyone an inheritance.
Oh my gosh.
She told that to her wealth manager.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, fine,
all
whatever.
right.
I'm not counting on your money to do something, but
right.
Unlike the legacy you leave me is the crazy Mexican mom.
Yeah.
Look out for the sandal.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I honestly thought something else was coming out of your mouth.
I did too. Bro. I was gonna say, I was gonna try and say something, but the F was already there, so I was just like, flap.
I was like, okay, what caused this? Yeah, so I mean, it comes down to, what is your legacy for all this? What is your legacy to? And we don't think about that, because a lot of times, what are we thinking about nowadays? We're thinking about what's happening in the here and now. We're not thinking about a year from now, 2 years from now,
future,
5 years from now, 10, 15, 20.
That's so far out.
10 years after we're dead.
Oh, shoot.
we don't think about that.
No, you don't. We
but
don't.
By nature, we're so concerned about the past, and we live in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You're going to be like, oh, conspiracies. Are we? Now you see what goes. How long have we spent on Russia and Trump? Just all this stuff, and it keeps coming out. Oh, there's really no connection. But we keep going back to it because we have to keep going to the past. And we keep going back, keep going back, keep going back. How many times, and I'll be honest, the conservative side of things they keep going back to the past of Obama. Obama this, Obama that, Obama this, Obama that. How many times? We can't keep going back to the past on things. Mm-hmm. We can't keep going back and saying, well, back in my day, it was. We're not in your day anymore. Sorry, Grandpa. Sorry, Grandma. We're now in the current. If you wanted things to change today, you needed to have started that years ago. If we want things to change in the future, we need to start doing that now. And that's both on a personal and on a societal level.
Right.
Things in society don't just happen. What we're seeing in society right now with this breakdown and this divide and this clash between the multiple groups of people, be conservative, left, liberal, left, right, left, whatever. Trump supporters, non-Trump supporters, whatever you want to call those divides. The divides that we're seeing politically, socioeconomically, racially, all that started years ago and is continuing to this day.
It's festering.
And if we want to change it, it's not going to be an immediate, overnight, snap, change, done, crackle, pop.
Yeah, no.
This is going to take time, and we need to start laying the groundwork for that today. And that is part of our legacy as an individual, but also as a whole of a nation. Mm-hmm. And we need to get out of the short-sightedness of looking just at the here and now and maybe the next minute or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything is expected to happen so quickly, or it's like being demanded to happen quickly when some of the stuff cannot happen quickly.
Yeah.
One, it takes time, but it also takes it takes effort on everybody's behalf, and then it also takes accountability.
Accountability takes time, as you pointed out, and it's going to take some very rough conversations and some very rough patches between multiple people. But here's the thing, when those rough patches come up, it's not as soon as you encounter a bit of friction that you then just dump the entire progress of whatever is happening.
Oh, right, yeah.
You got to continue on. And that's going to suck at times.
Right.
How many times, Aaron, have, something, either one of us, did something, and then we have that little bit of friction as we sort through that process.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it sucks during that time.
Oh, yeah.
It is not, we don't like being in discomforted spaces.
No, not at all. And I guess the biggest thing for me, at least, is because it's like, one, you don't know how long it's going to last or what's going to come out of a situation at the end. And like thinking of anything with, one with you or just like any friend really, especially like close friends. It's like, if there's something that's been done to cause friction or damage in that situation, yeah, you don't want to, I guess, in the sense, talk about it, get through it, discuss it, and move forward. Because it's like, what's going to happen in that process of doing that? And then it's I guess I get nervous. It's like, what's the outcome going to be? And for me, granted, and I know I'm not anything special in this regard, but it's like, it's easy to go to think of the whole, like the worst case scenario kind of thing, and then just imagine that's going to happen. And then I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I just want to keep it as it was, at least while it's still somewhat okay, and just live with it. But then it's like, it's always been so much better to just sort it out.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like, and again, it's like, I think generally on my behalf, and obviously, I mean, it's not this every time. This mindset of where it's like, it's like, what would you rather do? It's like, I would rather just, whether I'm wrong or the other person's wrong, or in the instance, it's like, I would rather just forgive and like forget, move on kind of thing. Like, that's generally what my outcome is that I want to happen. Granted, that's not every time at like first glance. Because I remember there was times with like Josh, and especially in high school, I was just like, all right, I'm just done with this kid. This kid's an idiot. I don't want to be friends with him anymore. Yeah, that's definitely not true because I'm still friends with him today.
Yeah.
So it's like, not to say that my mindset has always been, it's like, I just hope it gets better and that we can work things out. Because there's definitely been times where it's like, nah, I don't want it to get better. But whenever you work something out and discuss it, it's always, more often than not, ended well. And I mean, regardless if him and I weren't this, like, the level of friends we were today, I mean, even just discussing whatever it was that was wrong, even if we ended up not being friends, would have been better than just holding on to it and just having that in the background, just festering there as time goes on. Because it's, because that stuff can eat you up too as you go on. It's like, whenever you think of that person, or if there's like something that involves this person that upset you in the past or whatever, if you still have that settled, I don't know, just dispute or whatever, it's going to bring back stuff, and then you're going to eat on it and stuff. And that's just not good. I'd rather just deal with something and let it be what it is and just kind of move on, sort of thing. and I guess even, which I mean, you've already spoken on, really. I mean, seeing how you deal with those kind of situations shows what kind of person you are, and puts in people's minds like, oh wow, that's what they would do in these situations. Like if you actually wanted to go through things and talk about whatever it is and sort things out, and showing that you wanted to do that is a good thing, I would say, in most people's eyes. I would hope.
You would hope, but
Yeah. Because it's like, I mean, that at least shows that they, one, cared and wanted to resolve things at least, and just hopefully become at peace with whatever it is that's going on. But, yeah, gosh. Thinking about, there was, oh no. I'm going back to the other podcast, Paul.
okay.
Matt had a really good thing when talking about like for like legacy stuff. There's this guy who Ian knew, and like years before, 'cause pretty much he had a funeral. The guy that he knew, I think his name was Mark. He ended up passing away, and is really cool to hear, like, I guess what happened at his funeral. But like, so many years before that, the 3 of his kids passed away in a car accident, and so that was obviously a very tough thing. But Matt had always had these like good conversations with this guy as time went on and whatnot, and like he was a Christian man, and he was talking to Matt about like Job at one point and stuff like that, which he was saying he really had like a mindset that, you know, it's like, you know, God's in control sort of thing, and even despite losing 3 children and stuff like that, he was just excited to see them again later on in heaven, kind of thing. But at his funeral, he was thinking of all these conversations that he had had with this man and stuff like that, with difficult conversations at times and whatnot. But then to see all of the other people that spoke at his funeral had the same conversations. I mean, it was all like, you know, about like God and like the Bible and stuff like that, and cool things like that. But he was thinking about like that kind of like a legacy that he left behind. Is like all of these people that he had interacted with, he had just as big of like these conversations with everybody else in his life, and he didn't just like share that for certain people, kind of thing. He was just like, he had this news that he wanted to share, and he shared it with everybody, kind of thing. No matter what that person, I guess, what lifestyle that person had, kind of thing, which is, I thought was really cool, found to be really cool. And I was thinking about that, like leaving that kind of a legacy behind. Man, obviously listening to Matt actually talk about it is so much better. I'm just very shortly summarizing it.
Fair enough.
Very short. But yeah, I never think about, you know, that kind of thing for like the whole funeral sense. Is what would people say about me at my funeral? Sometimes it kind of scares me. Sometimes it doesn't. For some people.
Yeah, but that's part of the thinking of, oh, my legacy.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not.
Yeah, because what are people going to say about you also translates to what are the stories they're going to share about you? What's that? Again, it comes back to what's that impact that you're going to leave later on those people?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say regret and legacy are, you know, Southern cousins.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're 2 sides of the same coin, because regret helps you shape your actions that are then going to change what your legacy is going to be. And that desire of leaving a legacy is going to change how you're acting in the current, so that hopefully you don't have regrets later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. There's this, man, There's a song. eh, The well, I still love this song,
Okay.
but there's like a bridge in it, a bridge in the song, and I always felt weird when it. Well, not really. Just singing it, I guess. No, I don't really sing, but whatever.
That's a lie.
Well, I don't sing legitimately. That's not. It's bad singing. But one of the lines is, "There's not a thing that I regret. Can't live my life in yesterday." And I was just thinking, I was like, for a while, like I was, like at first, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. Don't regret anything." But I was like, "But wait, how can you? That's not possible. You can't do that. I mean, I guess maybe you could, but is that good? No."
Yeah, and that's a legit question because can you? Where would you be at, Mr. Johnson, if you didn't regret what you did in Madison, Idiot Day?
I would probably continue doing stuff like it,
Yeah.
and then who knows what I would be like right now. I might not be right here right now, and whether that's just being a part of this podcast, like not saying that I'd be dead by now, but like I just might not be in this situation. I don't know. I might have never joining a podcast with you. I don't know.
All right.
I could have left the church long ago, I suppose,
Yeah.
had I not regretted my actions and had some kind of conviction of them. But then, I mean, the second part of that line, though, I do agree with, where it says, "I can't live my life in yesterday."
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. You can't live your life always in the past.
Yeah. Because that's just going to eat you up.
Yeah.
And then you can never move forward and then really make much of a legacy for yourself. At least not a good one.
Again, they're kissing cousins.
Yes. Yeah.
I love your reaction on that. As soon as I said that, you're like, ugh,
Yeah. You.
ew, don't like that.
Kissing. Disgusting. Ugh. I'm still just an immature little child when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Oh, trust me. Show me a man that's not a little immature child at times. But anyways, is there anything else you want to comment on about legacy? Are you how are you prepping to leave a good legacy for your family?
How am I prepping?
Yeah, what are you doing to leave a good legacy for your nephews?
I feel like nothing yet, really.
But maybe
But it's on my mind of what I should start doing.
wow.
It's just getting off my lazy behind, I guess metaphorically, not literally, but kind of literally at times. It's just it is getting that kind of, as you mentioned earlier a little bit about some of it being a motivation thing, not necessarily like regret at the moment, but because I mean it is definitely one of those things, like once you actually start putting effort and work towards something, and it's like you do it for a little bit and it's just like like this is probably good, but it'd be so much easier just to be lazy about it and be comfy and not putting in work and just be this stagnant blob. Ugh. Which sounds so depressing, which it kind of is. It is. Because it makes me think of, man, we're at a this older couple's house with some friends one night, and I mean we were talking about more like, I guess, spiritual stuff and whatnot, but I mean this cold couple, they're in their 70s, so yeah, they're an older couple.
Right.
And one of the things we were talking about, I mean, it's like amongst the friends, like some of them have been like, like I don't see any, like, I guess, like change in my life or whatever. Like I need to like grow up a lot or whatever the case may be. Like I need to see like improvement happening. And one thing that they were talking about is like, like especially with, well, I mean, this goes for anything really. But especially in the whole realm of like your walk with Christ or in just spiritual things, It's like it's not gonna be a day change, and as we talked about earlier, like for the whole like society, whatever,
Yeah.
it's gonna take time. And but that's one thing that obviously not just me, but stops a lot of people is we're very impatient. Which not to say that has I mean that's always been around, but it's like it definitely seems like a lot things are becoming more and more instantaneous with how we get things or whatever. Well, like whole online shopping and Amazon's amazing next day or two day whatever shipping.
Well, now there's same day delivery
Same
too.
same day delivery stuff. Yeah, it's everything is like we
People
expect
people
so,
going in debt thousands of dollars to buy something they can't afford.
Yeah, isn't that great? So I mean, it's just like we expect everything so quickly, and it's for me, it's putting in effort. One, I guess, involves some sort of risk to a point, because I mean, whatever you put your time and energy into, you're hoping for some kind of like, at some point, like reward or payment for it, kind of thing. But it's like the more you put time and effort into something and you don't see it pay off as like you would hope to, then you'll be left disappointed, potentially hurt, whatever. I think that's one. I guess that's one thing that makes me a little bit either lazy or not so driven, especially like with like relationship type stuff. Because I don't want to get to a point where I'm putting so much into it just to have it kind of like fall apart thing, and then it's just like, okay, well that's it, I'm done.
Which means you'll never have the legacy of children in that.
Right? Oh, yeah, got that right.
Okay.
So, no, yeah. So there's that, but they're saying, I mean, like everything takes time. You can't expect everything to happen so quickly. I mean, you're gonna have to put time into it, and I mean, eventually something will come out of it. I mean, not everything is going to be what you expected or may have wanted right away.
Right.
Wanted right away. But it's, I don't know. I feel like if you're putting effort into something and you're like legitimate about it, I feel like it's good to a point really no matter what. Because at least that's showing that you're willing to endure and put hard work into something. And I mean, that just shows you're a good worker.
Yeah.
And you care about stuff. If you didn't, then yeah, you would literally just do nothing with yourself and then just kind of like fade away. And then, I mean, everybody here on earth is going to be forgotten at some point. Yes, some people's names may stick around for a while, depending on what kind of impact you've had on the world or whatever. But some point we'll all be forgotten on like a world earthly matter. But if you really just don't even do anything with your life, then it's like, okay, well, you're not going to be really remembered at all, unfortunately. At least not for anything good, which is sad. I'd like to hope people would want to be remembered for good things, but
no, sometimes you'll be remembered in the history books for the very bad things you did.
which
Hello,
is also
Hitler.
sad. Yeah, yeah, we're talking about you.
So yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, that's one thing I think. Yeah, it's for me is very motivation driven. Well, the lack of motivation at times that seems to creep up whenever I feel like I start to want to make an effort towards something. It's like, is this gonna pay off in a good way, or is this just gonna eventually end up sucking? And it's like, I like to have more of a negative thought, which isn't always good.
No, it isn't, because you're looking at the results immediately, short term, not long term.
Exactly. And then I let that determine what I do with myself, whether I continue trying something or if I just drop it.
Yeah.
And then I'll move on to something else. And if the same thing happens, then I never get anything done. And then what have I done? I've wasted myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all. I am done puking.
I asked for, do you have any final thoughts? And I got a little dissertation there.
Yeah.
It was very Joshian in that way,
I know,
Gar.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine, because you know what? I think that is appropriate to end on. So thank you for joining us on this 2-parter as well. I know this month was 2-parters all the way around. So, hey, you know what? We'll see next month where I think, let's see, next month is National Candy Heart Month or something like that. February.
It is Feb. Oh my gosh.
Actually, this will be in February. So
End of February, but yeah.
hello, Candy Heart Month. We see you.
Yay.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's